Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And today's webinar is one I'm genuinely super excited about. We get to talk about crypto, we get to talk about iGaming, an amazing combination. And today we'll specifically be talking about crypto in gaming. What is the future of crypto betting in the African gaming market? And today I have with me amazing, of course, Jeremiah is a familiar face. I have with me Jeremiah as my co-host, and he will also be sharing his insights. I also have with me Francisco and Frank. Frank will be joining us as the session goes on. And we also have an additional speaker for you at the end of the session. So stay tuned to see who that will be. Francisco, hello, how you
Hi,
doing
Victoria. I'm
today?
doing well, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. Hi, Jeremiah, how you
Yeah, good. What
doing?
about you?
I'm really fine. Thank you so much. So my name is Victoria Biodun, and I'm the podcast host for iGaming Africa. I'm going to let our speakers introduce themselves so you can also get familiar with them.
Yeah.
Francisco,
So
over to
first, I
you.
would like to thank you for inviting me. I am Francisco Bravo, Sales Director at Betcor for Latin America. Even though my experience lies on the Latin American market, I've been working closely with my partners from Africa. So from where I can give my perspective for this webinar. Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for honoring our invite. Jeremiah, do you want to do a bit of intro
Yeah,
too?
of course. Thank you so much. My name is Jeremiah Maangi. I'm the Chief Executive Officer at iGaming Africa. And I also am the Managing Director, iGaming Consult Africa. So, of course, looking forward to have a chat about the space of cryptocurrency in the African gaming space.
Thank you so much. When Frank joins us eventually, he'll get to introduce himself and you also get to meet him. But to set the stage, I'm going to start with you, Francisco. What does the crypto betting landscape, in Africa looks like right now? Who are the users? Where's the money flowing from? What's the space looking like?
So yes, when we speak about the gambling industry in Africa, we always take as a reference three big players, right? So we take South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya as the three big players in the country, right? So what we're seeing right now is really promising. I will say now the crypto gambling industry is in early stage, but what we're seeing right now with the population is really promising because we're speaking about a lot of different countries with a lot of fiat currencies. Most important thing, we're speaking about countries with the high inflation and currency with devaluation, right? So in countries like Kenya and Nigeria, we're seeing a lot of people, already using crypto. So they are already doing P2P transactions, to try and avoid get devaluation from their own currency. So crypto is already there. People already know cryptos. And also, we see in South Africa there is already a crypto exchange based in Johannesburg. So all of this combined with the increase of mobile phone penetration in the continent, plus internet access to more areas, to rural areas, all of this combined is very promising for the crypto in the gaming industry. We just have, let's say, there is one big player that is still uh, uncertain, which is the regulator, but I believe we will speak about that a bit later.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. Jeremiah, please, can you share your opinion on that?
Yeah, so thank you for the opportunity, first of all, to be a speaker in this session. Um, I have been a big follower and lover of cryptos since I think I was introduced to this space like 3 years ago. And at the beginning, when this actually introduction came through to me, I was very skeptical about it. However, after adopting it and trying to understand what it is all about and how it works, I got to appreciate the fact that it is a technology that actually everybody else should implement or use. And to answer your question about the state of crypto usage in Africa, right now, as my brother Francisco said, we are seeing a big trend of usage of this technology across the major markets that are actually known for gambling, and that is Kenya, Nigeria, and actually South Africa. These are some of the biggest gaming markets that is in the world right now, and actually in Africa they are leading. And when you talk about crypto usage in these markets, it's actually again leading in terms of the usage. And one of the areas that is actually mostly consumed is the P2P side of the this sector. That is the cryptocurrency space. So most of the users actually, let's say like in Kenya, are using it for P2P transactions. So I can say that the future is very promising. There is a lot of usage for this technology right now, and actually we should advocate for more.
Wow, definitely. I think that's something we all can agree on, especially when you even look at the level of recognition, even the global market is kind of, pointing towards Africa when we talk about adoption. We can see that the usage is definitely improving in a lot of ways. But, now coming back to the iGaming sector, why crypto? Why now? To be honest, what do you see like, specific challenges, in the traditional betting or current structure of payments that you believe crypto could potentially solve or improve on? Or do you believe there's actually like, a solid, what's it called, or an urgent intervention that crypto could genuinely bring into the space?
Yeah. So,
So I think I'll start with
we, all right.
thank you.
So, well, crypto solve a big issue that is happening right now in many countries, which is the banking system, right? So let's imagine I am a player based in Nigeria, right? I would like to go and gamble, on international side. And first, when I want to top up my account, I will face a lot of issues in the middle. I will face like high banking or card processing fees. I will face like a forex conversion rate that maybe they are not so fair, and also maybe a slow banking transaction, even if I do on the weekends. So I will have maybe to wait until Monday for my account to be top up, right? So me, this basically deteriorate the gambling experience, for players. So crypto is here to solve all those issues, So basically, with crypto, the transactions are almost immediate. They are fast, transparent, secure, and you can even know where is your money, right? Because the blockchain is public. It's not like in the bank when you do buy the transfer, you don't know where is your money. Here you can exactly track it and know when the money is there. So crypto basically here is solving this issue, creating more trust on the players and facilitating what we call the cross-border payments.
Wow, definitely I can agree
Yeah.
to that. So Frank, hello. I saw you join while we were already going on. Nice to have you join us. I spoke about you
Thank
joining
you.
us came on board. So please, would you kindly introduce yourself a bit to our audience and also, what you do, just a little bit of intro, then we can continue with the conversation.
All right. Hello, Victoria, Francisco, and Jeremiah. Thank you for having me. My name is Frank Da, Director Africa for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a crypto sportsbook and online. Thank you.
Yeah. So we know before you came on, we spoke about, what does the crypto betting space in Africa look like? And right now, the question from that, we moved on to talking about why crypto and why now. What are some of the specific challenges that crypto is solving in the traditional betting space or creating, So I think that's something you could maybe share your opinion on, and we can just move from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think some of the main challenges that traditional betting platforms face is it basically has to do with finances in this sense. People want to make deposits, play games, and make withdrawals. In Africa at the moment, that is a very big challenge. And for that reason, if you might have realized, we have a lot of We have a lot of fintechs and other people who are trying to create solutions for that. And as it is right now, crypto is pretty much bridging that gap and doing away with that sort of problem by making it easier for just people to move funds, for people to have access to freedom money, if that's what I call it. And that is one major challenge that has been there for the longest time. And the fact that you can seamlessly move money permissionlessly without any sort of restrictions, regardless of its jurisdiction. And but the also reason that also the fact that you can also set up your gaming platform. Sorry, you can set up your gaming platform in any jurisdiction without any restrictions. Makes it easier because what we've seen is that regulatory issues has been impairing the adoption of even some of these new betting products coming into different markets in the continent.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Now that we have all our speakers in, before we get really into the gist of the conversation, we really need to acknowledge our sponsors because without them, we probably won't be here sharing this knowledge with you. Jeremiah.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think we will play a small clip so that we can acknowledge the people who actually make these sessions a success. We are bringing these sessions at least once every month, and we are thanking them for supporting us. So I would like us to dedicate just 1 minute to watch a clip whereby we are acknowledging our sponsors, and then, of course, we will start officially the discussion.
Thank you so much for having us back. And thank you for staying with us through acknowledging our sponsors. So now I think we can move on to some of the juicy parts of our conversation. Jeremiah, from your own opinion, do you think right now, we're talking a lot about crypto adoption, especially in iGaming. Do you think there's actually a lot of hype going on in that area? Because, people think everything with crypto, there's so much hype around it. Or is there actual traction in the number of users coming through iGaming through crypto?
Yeah, so actually, that's a very interesting question, and I appreciate that. So there is actually an hype, but it is happening more in the background, and I'll tell you why. So right now, we don't have a proper regulation of crypto usage across various territories in the world. I mean, in Africa. And what that means is that you cannot even talk a lot about it because, again, you are operating in an unregulated space. So more so, some people will say that it's actually illegal because it is not properly regulated yet. But then, not very illegal because there are some countries that have taken a step and they are studying it. And actually, like in Kenya, I saw there is a committee that was set up, and actually some presentations have been done to them, of course, from those organizations that understand about this, for the benefit that in the long run we will manage and start regulating it. And there is actually a bill right now in Parliament whereby we are looking to start officially making a law that will help us to regulate digital assets. So this process makes it very difficult for you to term it illegal. And therefore, in some countries, there is some progress that is being made, but those who are using them are actually using them in the background because it is not yet fully regulated.
Hmm. You've talked about the elephants in the room, which is, the risk, and you mentioned regulation. And I have a whole lot of questions I'm going to, follow that up on. First, I'm going to point this to Francisco first, and I would like to also hear Frank's opinion on it. When we talk about crypto, we talk about what are some of the biggest threats that the users face, using the platform? Because I think some of the risk is also what sometimes leads to the strict regulation and even some let me say some opinions that also affect regulators negatively, especially their perspective. What would you say are the biggest risk users face with crypto betting platforms today? I will start with Francisco, then I would like to hear your opinion,
Yeah.
Frank.
So I believe from the regulator perspective point of view, it will be that they don't have the much control over the crypto transactions, so they are afraid of money laundering or, like using funds that are not legal. So on the user per se perspective point of view, we can see, a population probably where there is a lack of education for moving access around in the crypto world. And one of the biggest threat is for sure is a scam. It will be a lot of scammers. And people once in the crypto, you lose the money, it's completely lost. There is no way to recover it. So we're facing a different challenge that I believe they will be solved when the all the regulators and the entities, like decide to go legal to support it and then educate the population so we can mitigate all these threats.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. You made mention of, the threats, the scam. Frank, is that something, because, looking at where you work right now, is that something you would say is common in crypto betting platforms? Like what are some of the threats you've seen? But is that something you say is still very common, like happening a lot?
Yeah, so coming particularly from the regulatory part of this conversation, one thing I'd like to uh, just bring to the fore is the fact that there's that fear of control of anti-money laundering and that sort of frauds, and then also considering that the fact that crypto is pretty much permissionless and that sort of thing, it also brings in the issue of responsible betting, and that means that you might find platforms which take advantage of their users just because that there's no follow up on how the money moves, how you can move from, uh, on how much people can place their bets on, and that sort of thing. So I feel like those two, responsible betting and also anti-money laundering issues and terrorism financing is still a very big concern in the industry, particularly in the continent.
Oh, definitely. I think I can definitely agree to that. And before I move on, if you are watching the have questions you want to ask, please send in your question. We just got a question, and I'll let you take this. The person still betting in Africa, is it demand from regulators or payment limitation? Or who wants to take that first? I think I should that.
Yeah, I think I will take it first. The driving force I want to believe is the players, because you can notice that uh, almost most of the markets that are big, or most of the markets that is a gaming market giants in Africa, there has been some difficulties for the players, especially when it comes to taxation. And you will admit that most of the crypto betting platforms actually give the players flexibility, because the taxes or whatever money that the governments collect from them through these platforms is a bit on the lower end. But then when you come to the fiat currency platforms that we mostly use, which are regulated in the markets that, of course, in Africa, most of them is actually a big challenge because the taxes are a bit of a problem. So the players who are actually trying to learn on how they can bet using cryptocurrency are actually doing it because most of them want some flexibility when it comes to how much they can stake and how much they can go home with after the government, of course, has deducted the necessary taxations or any applicable deductions. So I want to believe that the driving force right now is the player. That is the major driving force. However, the other options which have been mentioned by the person who asked that question actually come into play actually in handy. However, the major one, according to me, would be the players who are looking for flexibility when it comes to how much they win or how much they stake.
Do you have an opinion on that, Francisco? Do you have anything to share?
Yeah, if you allow me. So I think another thing is that because generally right now crypto has been adopted in and it keeps getting adopted a lot in the continent, and that means people who are holding crypto or have access to it, the industry has really grown in the continent. So generally, the people who have these cryptocurrencies or they own them are just trying to look for use cases. Over the years, we've been talking about, well, what can I do with crypto other than just trading. So betting becomes also one of the avenues that they can be able to utilize the crypto that they own. And beyond that, I also think that the gaming industry itself is growing, and the projections that we've been seeing about how much it's going to be worth in like 5 years from now is very big. So as more players come in, they're also coming in with that sort of innovative nature in them, and crypto being one of them is a big driving force that they're taking advantage of.
I think I fully get what you're saying, especially when you look at, the users and how much that has actually impacted usage and how much that has impacted adoption in general in the iGaming space. Francisco, do you want to add anything or should we
Yeah,
move on?
yeah. I believe also in the question, I believe the payment limitations is an important factor, right? So we see in Africa countries that there are a lot of people that they are underbanked or unbanked at all, So an easy way, to try being financially inclusive into the system is by getting crypto, right? So there are countries that where they don't need even a bank account to get crypto. They use something called mobile money, right? So all these tools that are available in the countries, they are in the culture of the people, like mobile money, like can help, to grow the industry because more and more people will be able to go to a betting platform and place their bets. More importantly, is you are using crypto. Me as for example, as a gambler, I would like my account to be top up, the deposit to be quick, and most importantly, the withdrawal to be quick as well. So I believe that using crypto, we remove this payment limitation, we'll remove these transactions. I will make everything more seamless, and it will improve the user experience. Yeah.
And maybe Victoria,
Thank you so much, for sharing that.
yeah, Victoria, to
Okay.
add something to what, actually not to add, but to emphasize on one point that he has touched on, that is Francisco, is that, cryptocurrencies are hosted on the blockchain technology, which is more of a public ledger. And one of the benefits of the blockchain technology is that this technology is actually very advanced when it comes to some features such as how fast anything that is hosted there is. So most of the transactions actually for cryptocurrency reflect almost immediately. It's only dependent on which network you are using. If it's more of a busy network, of course, a bit of delays can be experienced. However, I know most people use the most popular coin. Of course, I know it's Bitcoin, but most people this side, I know they use USDT on the Tron network or on the ERC network. That is the Ethereum network. So some of the transactions on these networks are actually very, very fast, and you almost experience instant results whenever you are making a transaction. So and you know that most players in this side of the world would be happy to use a certain platform if it is as fast as possible when it comes to depositing and withdrawing money. So this then becomes a reason why actually most of the punters would be willing to use these technologies for gambling.
That really sinks it together, especially looking at the ease it brings. And there's definitely crypto as a solid future in the iGaming sector. And I think, while the three of you has shared different things, there are some key things I've heard you mention, which is, regulation too. You made mention of, regulation a bit. And also, I think it was Frank who made mention of the ethical side of things, which is responsible gaming. And so I have two main questions around that side. The first is, how are Africans regulators really approaching this? We spoke about how important regulation is, how things are looking up, and when I mean are they approaching this, it means from the direction of, do you have certain example of what they are doing right now? And if there's, how they are also sabotaging it, maybe certain rules, just released that you believe is also detrimental to the progress already going on. And I think the second one, oh, let's go with the first, then I'll go to the second. For the first, I think I should start with Frank.
Yeah, so regulation is still a very funny subject, and maybe if you could allow me to add on to something that Jeremiah mentioned earlier as we're starting, is that in Africa, there are three ways of looking at how regulation of specifically betting and crypto go. And it's usually three answers. The places that it's allowed, so you can accept crypto, you can place bets, and it's regulated. The places that they say no, it's a complete ban. You can't place bets, you can't gamble, you can't use crypto. And then the third option is, which is I think forms the most bits of the continent, is a gray area where it's neither yes or no. We still don't know, and there's no one who's even making any sort of initiative to get it to the fore. So there's that. Now, when you talk about maybe the positive aspects of regulation, I would say that I totally believe that regulation exists for two main reasons. One is for tax collection, which is pretty obvious for the governments. And then secondly is also for consumer protection. Now, those are positive things that the regulators are doing. And for places that there's initiative and there's some sort of collaboration between industry players, they hold forums, they educate each other on even the new developments, new innovations they're bringing in. And I'm going to give you an example. For example, in Kenya, very recently, the regulators banned a particular particular game. I think it's called Aviator. And there was reasons for this. A lot of people were pretty much acting irresponsibly in as far as that particular game is concerned. And regulators stepped in and said, you know what, we're going to ban this for a while, for some duration of time. It's not been allowed, well, unless maybe that's changed recently. So that is positive because now it leads to consumer protection. And then now the second bit, which I feel like there might be some sort of gaps which needs to be filled between the regulators and the industry players, is the fact that there's a lot of misunderstanding between how, for example, the innovations come in and how fast they happen, and how regulators are pretty much slow to adopt it. Because we always know that with technology, technology is always faster than regulators. So it feels a little bit frustrating for the industry players when you are trying to get, the sort of direction from regulators, and they're just pulling their leg. They're taking a long time, and you're missing out on the opportunity. And this is something that is deeply engraved in, I think, a lot of gaming spaces. And anytime it happens, regulators would come in, but then they don't come in with the attitude of, I'm curious to know, so what's happening and what have you been doing, uh, that we need to see. um, they just come in with bans, with extra taxes. So there's that big disconnect, between how the technology is advancing in the industry and how regulators are keeping up, or trying to keep up, to also enable the industry to move forward.
Yeah, that was a very detailed one. I don't think we need to even explore that topic further. But from what you've said, I've gotten a couple of things I would want Francisco to, shed more light on. But before we move on to that, I'm super excited to tell you all that we have the best ever announcement coming from us today. So that's something you should watch out for. This evening we'll be releasing something super amazing. I'm not going to give you any hints, but definitely watch out for it. Back to you, Francisco. I think when Frank was talking, he briefly mentioned that there's a recent ban on, I think he said aviator and something like that in Kenya, which we don't know, anything could have changed, but that happened at some point. And majorly because of players' protection. And that brings me back to my second question, which was going to be particularly about the ethical side of things, responsible gaming. Looking at the way crypto is, and I think earlier also you mentioned something around exploitation and how they could do that. Is it possible, or how do I put it? How do we draw the line, or where do we draw the line between the innovation and exploitation, especially, in low income communities where, crypto betting could become more of a predatory kind of system? Where would we draw the line, or where do we draw the
Yep.
line?
So there is a definition that the crypto brings is anonymous, right? So I believe this is a concept where regulators are afraid for where the funds are coming from, how much money the players are spending, etc. But as far as the regulators apply the law and they use anti-money laundering and KYC protocols, for the players, right? So even though the blockchain is public, is anonymous, you can always track, a wallet to the name of the player, right? So here you can apply some responsible gambling policies, right? Uh, yeah,
Thank you so much for
yeah,
sharing. So we have
okay.
a couple of questions from our users, and I'll just read out the question. If you think it's a strong point for you, I'll just let you go ahead
All
to
right, all right.
answer. So the first question is from Felix, and he asked, on average, how long does the integration to betting platforms take?
Integration of crypto. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, I
integration
think
of crypto.
Frank
Yeah.
can reply this better because he have the platform, but
Oh, yeah.
it's just a PSP provider, just integrated in the platform. I believe it's very quick.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty almost instantaneous, because first of all, as we progress, I'll give an example. Most of the early companies that started to enable betting with crypto started with Bitcoin, and that was a long time ago. Now, as we've progressed over time, a lot of cryptocurrencies have been popping up, and they pop up so fast that you might not be able to keep up. And now, for purposes of making sure that you get business, you have to listen to the community. If there's a new cryptocurrency that has garnered a bigger community, and it's more popular. People talk about it all the time. And I'm going to give you a recent example of Solana. For the past couple of months, Solana just popped out of nowhere and it got a huge community coming up. So the only reasonable thing to do is why not integrate Solana and enable people to bet with Solana? Because now you have a lot of Solana holders. They're excited. They want to use the currency. They want to exchange it and whatnot. So integration is something that is almost instantaneous. It doesn't really take any much time. It's all just technical on the background.
So we also have one of our users. Carolina has found the session really insightful. And she says, for operators to scale across different African regions, how realistic is it to build a unified crypto strategy?
Yeah, I think we lost Victoria for a minute.
Hello?
Victoria? Yeah.
Yes, I'm back. Yeah, thank you. Did you get to hear my question before I dropped a bit?
Yeah, you can ask it again.
Okay. So Carolina shared, thanks you guys for, the great insight shared so far. And she asked for operators planning to scale across different African regions, how realistic is it to build a unified crypto strategy, given how diverse the regulatory landscape is? I don't know. Depending on your strength, please, you can go on.
Maybe I can say something about it.
Okay.
So crypto, when it comes to this question on which touches greatly on regulation and collaboration across various countries, I would give a recommendation that we should watch closely what is happening in Europe. And I'll give you an example of some of the licensing strategies, like the Anjoan license, for example. You get a company that is operating across Europe, that is multiple countries holding an Anjoan license, but then this license makes it possible to actually operate across so many countries. And I want to believe that these countries usually have sharing formula for revenue that is generated from these operators. And this is the example I would like to be duplicated in Africa, because it will become very, very difficult for these various countries, say Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Nigeria, all these 50 plus countries, to regulate the gambling platforms that run on the blockchain or crypto separately, like on an individual level per country. Because again, you can scare some of them away, because no company would like to have 50 licenses at a go. So it is high time that as a continent, number one, we ensure that, of course, we pitch for a unified system whereby a country that has been licensed or holds one license cannot be able to operate across Africa. And I'll tell you why. If we don't go this route, it will be very difficult to implement. So right now, as we speak, most of these countries are actually implementing fiat policies for their operators. And it is becoming a bit difficult, like unifying all the countries and their regulations. However, I know that there is a lot that is happening. We have Graph that is trying a lot to see how they can unify the standards. However, it may take time. So when it comes to crypto, for crypto, it is high time that we try and, of course, see how we can take the example of the Anjoan licensing body, so that we can have one licensing body across Africa, but regulating these crypto platforms. Otherwise, if we don't take this route, so many of these companies will still be operating across the various countries. They will be collecting money, and there is nothing we will do about them. But if we unite it will be possible for us to, of course, win this war. I want to call it a war because they are already here. They are taking money, but nobody is benefiting from it when it comes to the government. I also want to correct one thing that was stated by my good friend Frank about the ban on aviator in Kenya. So it was not actually a ban on aviator in Kenya. It was a directive by the Kenyan government on how we can, of course, ensure that platforms that have having aviator are following certain conditions because there was a high level of addiction that was actually instigated by these games. So it was a directive that please, if you have aviator on your platform, there are some policies or police guidelines that you have to comply with before you can proceed providing the game. And actually, I know right now as we speak, almost all these companies that have already complied are providing this game. So, and then there is something that Francisco mentioned about us not being able to understand what is happening. And I want to believe that it is our regulators who actually do not understand properly how this blockchain ecosystem works. And that is why it's becoming a bit difficult for them to implement some of these policies. And my call is that let's insist on education. There is an opportunity actually for the governments to double or triple whatever they are making if they adopt a crypto for gaming. And therefore, if we actually get it right, there is a very high chance of us making a lot of money from this space because so many people are using it, but they are using it in the background and no money is being collected by the government. So it is a call for collaboration across all the countries that, of course, have accepted to offer gambling to their citizens. And therefore, if this happens, of course, there will be a long-term gain on both ends.
Yeah, Victoria, if you could allow me just 1 minute. So first thing, thank you very much, Jeremiah, for the correction. Might have been stepped on that. Then secondly, as a strategy, going back to the question, this is a little bit aligned to what Jeremiah has mentioned about having a unified sort of license that you can operate with all over the continent. In addition to that, one other thing that operators can be able to do to enable them just access the various markets, maybe at a go or as a blanket, is right now we're still fiat heavy, but then we have on and off ramp fintechs and service providers who enable your players to even deposit fiat, have them converted to crypto in your platform, and then they play the games, and then they can withdraw the winnings as fiat again. So if you get one particular service provider, on and off ramp provider, who has multiple markets in the continent, you get a hold of them, you work around a way of just them getting you to their various markets. They already have users in those markets. And considering the fragmentations of the currencies, I have no time to figure out how to get my players to deposit Ghanaian cedis or to deposit South African rand. This particular on and off ramp service provider will do that for me because they already have the market there, right? So that's another avenue that can be explored.
Yeah, I think I'm back. I was off for like a little bit, but I'm back here. Thank you so much. I think both of you, really did justice to that question. And so we can talk about a bit more before of time. Both of you mentioned and how much impact that could have on the actors. But before I move on to asking my own question, we have a question from one of our viewers again, and I think we should attend to that first. The question says, have you evaluated how how crypto would, okay, I think I'll come back to that question. I will definitely come back to take that. But so that we can go with the momentum of what we're talking about, especially in building a brand or a strategy. If someone wants to build or someone wants to launch a crypto gaming or betting platform in Africa today, what would you tell the person, or what must they do to get it right from the get-go?
Yep. What in when you want to work in the local market in Africa, as far as I can see, this market is very dynamic. So it means that something that is successful in Nigeria, it won't be successful in South Africa. So because every user have their own preference, right? So when you want to enter the market, you need to work very localized. You need to work with the day-to-day user experience, right? So when I speak, for example, about in Kenya with the mobile money, or for example in Nigeria, people doing a lot of P2P, so they are fond of using also mobile systems. So basically, you need to target a population that is mobile wise. It is a lot of mobile penetration. So you need to go mobile first. You need to go very localized, and then you need to know, I think one of the most important things is you need to do local partnerships, right? You need to work with local partnerships and regulators, so to understand the market before you go in.
Okay, Jeremiah, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, thank you. What I would like to say on that question is that one thing that you first have to understand before even thinking of bringing your crypto operation to Africa is that almost every country in Africa that, of course, regulates gambling require that you have a license for you to operate in those countries. And it is, as the moment, a license per country that you would like to operate in. So if you need to operate in 10 countries, you would need 10 licenses. And actually, to some extent, in some markets, you would need state licenses, like in Nigeria or in South Africa, where you need provincial licenses. So it is a bit complex, whereby you cannot just come and start your operation without having these licenses. So the next point I would like to clarify is that we have seen some countries that are taking very advanced steps towards recognizing digital assets like cryptocurrencies as means of depositing or withdrawing to their platforms. And one of the country that has made a very big step towards this is South Africa, whereby right now they are recognizing digital assets not as a currency, but as a mean of exchange. So they are not a currency. The only currency that is recognized there is the rand, which is the South African official currency. However, digital assets, South Africa has taken a very big step towards recognizing them as means of trade or exchange, however you would like to call it. And then there is another country that is Nigeria. I know there is an e-Naira, which is, of course, pegged to these digital assets. And I would like, maybe Victoria, you would touch on that because you are from this side of the continent, on how the reception has been on the same. And I know countries like Central African Republic, which I would beg to be corrected, Frank, are now recognizing digital assets like cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin. I mean Bitcoin as a currency. So I think I'll hand it over to you, Victoria, and then Frank can verify my sentiment there.
Okay, so I think the main problem with a country like Nigeria, for example, is in-era should be much more than it currently is. You can't crack down on crypto to an extent and expect a digital asset to have use case. Because at the beginning when in-era was really introduced, it was at a time where there was a very huge, conversation around banning crypto activities, even so much that you would see down to police brutality because people have crypto wallets on their phones and things like that. So you need to pick a side of the coin you want to be on. So you can't want to support innovation when it's comfortable, but then try to crack down on it. I think that's where the issue stemmed from. So at first, the crypto community was really excited about the OIN era, having CNGN and things like that. But then at the time, the government didn't have a specific stand. You could even see the whole issue with Binance having to leave Nigeria and so many things that, came after it. So I would say it still boils down to the general aspect of how regulators want to pick the side they need to stand on. You can't want a local stable coin to be recognized if you do not want, an official stance around things like Bitcoin, things like Solana, and things that people who would use those coins already associate with. I think that's where the problem is. They want to have a say with crypto, but they don't want to fully recognize it yet. So I think that's where the a bit of skepticism is when it comes to Nigeria. And I think especially from the crypto community, they don't trust the regulators yet. And I think to an extent, I can't say the government is fully doing anything different yet, but it looks like they potentially could. And we can only look forward to seeing a more crypto friendly country. And I think if we have a more crypto friendly country, the in era can definitely see adoption because you can't crack down on the people that wants to use it. And we are also the people that would educate more people, to come into the space in general. So I think that's the problem when it comes to Nigeria and the integration so far. So I think I'm going to. I think Frank, you asked Frank to take something, if I'm correct, before we move on to
Oh
the next.
yeah, yeah. So there were those some very popular news that came out a couple years actually, maybe 2 years ago, saying that the Central African Republic is recognizing Bitcoin as a currency. But however, considering there's usually very little information coming from Central African Republic, um, in the sense of any sort of news about crypto, any sort of community, it could be there or not. It's very difficult to verify at this point, so I wouldn't put a hand on it and say yes, they're actually accepting. So the news was there. It was very popular. There was a few interviews done with a few people here and there, but there's nothing yet that has ever come out of it beyond the news. So we can't really verify just yet.
Oh, okay. I think before we move past this question, I should rephrase it and read it out. And please, you can share your opinion based on how you can understand the question itself. Emilo David asks, have you evaluated how crypto would benefit or affect the gambling industry in Africa? I think at different times we've made mention of this in different ways, but to probably provide more insight, maybe it wasn't with us yet when it was discussed. I don't know who would like to expatiate on it.
Yeah, so I can reply this one. So well, basically, crypto, as we were mentioning earlier, so it's a method that is fast, safe, and quick, and with low fees, right? So one of the things that they will solve is the cross-border payment situation. And another thing is when we think about crypto. So crypto is built in the blockchain, right? So we only think about crypto as a monetary tool, but when we think about the blockchain, we also can think about smart contracts, right? So when we work with the smart contracts, we can go beyond. We can increase the trust on the players. For example, nowadays there are casinos that they use probably fair games. Basically, this is a game that the player can verify that the actual results are correct, right? More than that, it can benefit player retention, because we can use smart contracts to pay out automatically bonuses, to give NFT as a motivation, to give some tokens that they later can use to change for trips or real user cases. So I believe the crypto in many ways can improve the user experience. Like when everything is based in the Web3. There is no middleman. Everything happens almost immediately, and of course, it will improve way more the gambling experience.
Thank you. That was definitely the answer I needed. I don't know. Does anyone want to add anything before we maybe move on from that question? And if you're watching, remember you can send in your question. We have amazing speakers looking to, provide you answers to them. Frank, do you have anything to add on it, or should we just move on?
I think Francisco has it well put. Should be
I
good.
agree to that. Then I think finally, looking to like the whole space in general, we spoke around regulation, we spoke around, the risk. Um, Before we move on to talking some of our last commentaries, if you're watching this, I mentioned at the beginning we have a surprise towards the end because we have an extra speaker who couldn't make it here with us, but he shared his insight and would be sharing it with a clip. The clip will be coming up now, and we'll be sharing a lot of things also around the conversations we've had. And by the time, okay, we have a question, we'll answer that immediately after this video. So stay tuned and we'll continue with you.
Yeah, Victoria, probably before we move to the video, we can,
Okay.
of course, respond to those questions, and then we play it as we finish.
Okay. So let's say, okay, I don't think this is a question. I think we can move on. Oh, is Jeremiah here with us?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. So,
Okay.
yeah, let's proceed. Let's proceed, and then we'll
Okay.
play the video at the end, please.
Okay, okay. So generally, I think we've mentioned different things, and crypto has so many misconceptions. And if there was one major conception, we spoke about education too, but this is also a form of education. I want you guys to, if there's one misconception about crypto betting in Africa you'd like to set right, what would that be? I'm going to start from Frank, then I'll go to Jeremiah, then Francisco.
All right. Very interesting question. This is a misconception that is still there, and it's that crypto is a scam. Um, and this is a misconception that I have had for the past 7 years, because when I got into crypto myself, before I even got into gaming, I used to talk to people who basically got into crypto or knew about crypto and Bitcoin through scammers and scam projects. Now, the truth is, there's a lot of scammers, there's a lot of scam projects in the crypto space. Yeah, there's a lot of bad players, that's for sure. However, crypto is legitimate. It's in existence for over 14 years now. Um, it's an industry by itself, yeah, which has creatives, has companies, is creating value, and is now being recognized. So at the end of the day, I think one of the main things you need to do is to educate yourself about crypto, and any platform or betting company that is incorporating crypto, you should do your due diligence, do your own research. So crypto is legitimate. Crypto is not a scam.
Crypto is not a scam. So over to you, Jeremiah. What would be your own misconception you would like, want to set right?
Yeah, I think for me, there is this notion that crypto is somewhere criminals keep their money. But
Mm.
then when you say that, you forget that also criminals use fiat. How do they buy food? How do they buy drinks? Right? So it is high time we start to look at the positive side of it. And this will help us to learn about it. And actually, most of the people who are now talking about these technologies are young people. And the reason why they are not taking off, or these technologies are not taking off, is because the people in power are actually older, or old people, or older people, or older generations. And therefore, what needs to happen right now is we need to give or relinquish power to young people so that they can help us to push some of these technologies. I think it's Frank who said that you cannot easily catch up with technology if you are not careful. Technology evolves, and actually it evolves on a daily basis. So if you are not fast enough, actually you will only come to notice very late that something that was very important has actually passed you. So let's ensure that we are careful to know that crypto or coins or cryptocurrencies can actually be used even for paying for medical services. I saw that there is an hospital somewhere in not an hospital but a supermarket in Europe whereby you can actually pay using cryptocurrencies. So if European countries have gone to an extent whereby retail stores are accepting crypto, who are we not to accept it? Or why should we accept it late? Africa needs also to wake up and know that we cannot always be the last ones to consume it. We can try and be early adopters so that we don't risk losing a lot. Because truth be told, so many people are using it, and even some of our leaders are using it. And maybe the reason why they are afraid to push this forward to the rest of the continent or the country to use is because at the end of the day, once this is adopted properly, even taxation can come in. So it is high time.
Thank you so much. I fully agree with that. Most people think in that direction. Oh, it's for criminals, it's for money launderers, but they launder money with normal currency and they don't think it's for criminals. So definitely that's another misconception that is common but needs to be stopped. So over to you, Francisco.
Yeah, so I believe that overall in the population that is not crypto educated, I believe there is a misconception when they see this news and they see, oh, crypto is $100,000, these huge market caps, etc. So probably these people believe that crypto is only for rich people. So what they don't know is that actually there is nothing more financially inclusive than the crypto. So everyone with a smartphone and with internet data access can own crypto, right? You can buy as little as, I don't know, $110. So you don't need to buy big amounts. You can buy just a fraction of the currency. So I believe this misconception is quite popular in the area. Just with the crypto education, this can be solved.
Yeah, I've had people
Yep.
say, "Oh, Bitcoin is over hundred
Yeah,
thousand.
yeah.
What do you mean? How do I buy Bitcoin at that
Yeah, right,
price?"
yes, yes.
And they don't understand that you could actually buy $1 worth, you can buy $2 worth. So
Yeah, yeah,
crypto
exactly.
is for everyone. The fact that
Uh,
a one if okay, do you want to say something?
yeah, I remembered something. Sorry, cutting you short before
No,
I
no, it's
forget.
fine.
So I can give you a story of how fast I had my first coins or my first a portion of a Bitcoin, not a Bitcoin, of course. So it all started with a certain company. I wouldn't mention their name that I worked for, and when it reached the point whereby they were supposed to pay me, they told me, by the way, we also support crypto. We can pay you using crypto. And my first thought was like, hey man, those things I don't believe in them. I always hear of people losing coins like online easily, and I think this is an area, Victoria, you can touch on before we end the session on people losing money online through crypto platforms. And so my solution to them was like, man, you would better stay with your money. I don't want it in crypto. You just send it on bank and I will be happy. So they proceeded to pay in bank through bank. And later, it took me like so many days trying to access the money. And even when I tried to go to the bank was like, no, you need to provide papers, documentation, etc. This I know doesn't happen in the blockchain space. And finally, I got the money, so many deductions, etc. So the lesson I got from this is that let me try next time and tell them to pay some of the money through crypto. And of course, they did. And when I was very shocked that I almost received the money instantly. So And of course, there is somebody out there who will be saying, like, Jeremiah, you are telling them they will come after you. No, I want to tell them so that they know that there is somewhere they are losing. And the earlier they come, the more we will all benefit. So the process for receiving the coins was actually very seamless. It was very fast, and the transactional costs were very minimal. So the lesson we can pick from this is that there is a way we can actually help even the governments to make money from it. I know India sometimes back, I think it's an year ago, they implemented a tax on crypto, and it was a bit heavy, which was around 30%. And
Yes.
this didn't, of course, go well with the public. And what I would advise, of course, those of us who are from the regulation side, even as you think about regulating it, don't think of regulating to kill. Think of regulating to benefit, because if you regulate to kill, all this money will find itself somewhere else out there. Something else, that story about Nigeria and the e-Naira, you've given us a very good response to that. And by the way, I also heard that the police were harassing people on the streets and telling them, open your phone, let's see if you have a wallet or a Binance on your phone. And if they find it, they arrest you, or they try to find a way to get the coin. So this is not a good sign. We should, of course, borrow a leaf from Nigeria first and congratulate them for adopting an e-Naira, which is pegged on the blockchain. But then try to inform them that these technologies are not here to harm, but they are here to benefit us and actually for the long run. So I think that is something I remembered.
Thank you for sharing. That was, very important to add. We have a question from the audience. I think to an extent you touched that. I believe Francisco did, Jeremiah did, but I think, sharing more insight would definitely help this person. Felix says, great conversation. What are the integration requirements and procedures? On average, how long can it take? I think earlier when it was asked, both Frank and Francisco said it's something almost an immediate thing. It doesn't take time. But I think I'm just going to let you give one more word. I know you answered this question earlier, but please, you can answer again.
Yeah, so basically, you as a operator, right, as a casino platform, you integrate many payment service provider, right? So there is a payment gateway solution. So as far as the payment gateway solution supports crypto, you will be already available to use crypto for your players. They will be able to fund their wallets using stable coins, USDT, USDC. They can use Bitcoin, Ethereum. Usually are the most popular. And if you would like to support like some other altcoins, maybe you will need to find a different payment solution. But this is something that's getting done like as fast as, I don't know, like maybe 2 days, 3 days. It will depend, in the integration team. But to adapt crypto, and to make your players able to fund their account with crypto is something that is really quick.
Yeah,
Okay. I think that
and as he said, as he said, sorry, cutting you, as he said, right now, the most important thing is for you to, first of all, ensure that you are number one, planning to implement it in a market that, of course, can give you a license for you to operate a crypto casino or sportsbook. That is the first step. Number two, get a provider who has a platform that can be able to support. And I know that most of these technologies are very fast, and therefore the integration can be a matter of days to weeks, but not months. And then lastly, it is important for you to also ensure that you are trying as much as possible to make the players to understand how it works. Because right now, not so many of them are used to cryptocurrencies and how they work. So education cannot only be for regulators, it also should be for the players. And I think, Victoria, we are ready with the videos.
okay.
We will play because we spoke to somebody about this topic. And sorry, today the session has been a bit longer than usual, but then it's because today is the day that we want to release a very important announcement from iGaming Africa. So we are just excited to speak all throughout the day, but then let's listen to what one of our friends from the industry had to say about this topic.
Customer that's never used crypto to take his fiat and on-ramp it onto, onto crypto. So there's an education piece, and there's certainly barriers around costs to do that. At the moment,
Sorry, Victoria, I think we had a problem with that. We'll try to play it once more, and then if it doesn't, we will try another one.
customer that's never used crypto to take his fiat and on-ramp it onto, onto crypto. So there's an education piece, and there's certainly barriers around costs to do that. At the moment, payment costs, your standard fiat payments are expensive. There can be a lot of friction. If it's banking, you have multiple layers. If it's mobile money, you have the telco, you have an aggregator, you've got the wallet, you've got multiple layers again. So there is a lot of friction in fiat payments. The crypto and friction means cost. So it's more expensive for the operator, and it's more expensive for the customer as well. It's fairly obvious, I guess. When it comes to crypto, the fees are far lower. The experience is very similar to mobile money, so almost instant deposits, the same with withdrawals, at a fraction of the cost for the operator and for the customer as well. So as a payment method, once you're primed to use it, it's a much better experience. It really is just the education, and it's not just the education, it's building the infrastructure to allow a mass market solution for crypto in Africa. And that's not quite there yet, and it will grow over time. Once that education and that infrastructure and the liquidity grows, then it's like trying a new experience. You might be fearful of, or you feel there's a lot of risk involved, and once you do it, you become addicted to it. Whatever, surfing, skydiving. I don't do either, but I'd imagine. So it is just a case of getting customers used to that flow. When they do, the payment fees are a lot lower. Now, as I said earlier, you still have pretty high on-ramping costs at the moment because of FX spreads and so on. Less so off-ramping. So for now, if you have money in crypto, it's again, not condoning it, but it's the most logical thing to do is to bet on a crypto side if you are pro betting in the first place. If you are an average punter that likes to bet once or twice a week, on your local bookmaker, betting $1 or $2 at a time, it makes very little sense to for the purposes of gaming only to set up a crypto account and move your money into crypto.
Yeah, so that is our friend Kono. I hope I pronounced your name properly. Kono wouldn't be with us here today because of an urgent issue he has to handle. However, we really appreciate your feedback. And Victoria, probably what did you pick from it before you take us to the comments from the audience?
Okay, so I think he's just, generally touching on what we've currently discussed, which is majorly also around what's it called, some of the issues, and he spoke also, a bit on education and just a bit of the different things we've mentioned. So I think that's it for me pretty much.
Good, thank you. Please.
Yeah, so we have a whole lot of comments. Jay says, "Thank you for the panel for an informative session and comprehensive session. To the audience, thank you for the engaging comments. All the best, everyone." So we have someone in the comments also excited about the big news. I'm super excited, really excited. Um, then also Chidima says, I love iGaming Africa website. It has helped me break into the new market in my previous workplace. Thank you so much for all you guys dedicating your time to come. Matthew says, I believe regulatory uncertainties are risk factors. Um, I think we've touched that on different aspects, which is so many uncertainties, especially for people building their investment. So yeah, definitely to an extent is we can consider that a risk factor because it makes the market sometimes unstable. But when we look at where we're coming from and where we are right now, we can definitely see there is definitely a future for crypto and iGaming in Africa. I think before we go, we also have to thank our sponsors again, because without our sponsors, we definitely won't be gathered here to have this conversation. That's definitely benefited a lot of people. So I think we can play the video now.
Yeah, so of course.
Thank you so much, for sticking with from the beginning. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Francisco. Thank you, Jeremiah, for joining us too. Today has been super educative, even for me. So I can imagine how much it's been, impactful for our listeners and for those that stuck with us, from the beginning. Thank you so much for always supporting us and for making this, relevant and impactful. Without you, definitely this would not have any impact on anyone. So thank you so much. And to our sponsors, thank you also. Jeremiah, do you want to say a few words
Yeah,
before we
now
go?
we come to the close of the session. We'll just allow everybody 1 minute and a half to give their closing remarks about this very exciting topic. But then before then, I would like to say once more, thank you so much to our sponsors for this webinar. Every Matrix, which is a company that is providing, of course, technologies for gaming. And we have SoftSwiss. We also have 1xBit, which is a cryptocurrency betting platform that is actually licensed with an Anjoan license. And then this being a topic around cryptocurrency, then it becomes very important for anybody who wants to, of course, gamble globally to visit 1xbit.com and, of course, take advantage of the so many cryptocurrencies that you can bet with. We also want to appreciate Track, which is an affiliate marketing tracking platform. Thank you so much for your support. And Connell from TechUp Capital, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to, of course, speak to iGaming Africa, even though you couldn't be here with us today. So I think that will be it. Victoria, we can take it back to the speakers and then we hand in the closing remarks. And then don't forget, please, there is a very big announcement, the biggest announcement from iGaming Africa that is coming your way later today. So ensure to keep checking our website, igamingafrica.com. And as well, you will as well check our LinkedIn page and other social media pages like Instagram and Telegram community channel. So thank you so much, Victoria.
Yeah. So Francisco, do you have your closing
Yeah, sure.
remark, and then I
So
will.
in general, I will say that the crypto approach, the crypto acceptance in the gambling industry in Africa, I will say still in an early stage, but definitely we see good news. When we take as a model, the big players like South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya, where the population is already experienced with the crypto market, right? So we just need to take them as an example, and for sure all the other countries will follow. I know that in South Africa it's already something ongoing, and once one country do it properly, the other will follow. So we just need to work along with the regulators and educate the population. With increase of mobile phone, smartphones, and increase of internet access, this is the future definitely. Uh, it's going slow, but definitely we'll go there. Yeah,
Thank you so much. It's been
yeah.
super amazing hearing, your thoughts
Thank
across
you.
different topics. And Frank, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can. Please, can we have, your
Yeah,
closing remark?
sure. Thank you very much, first of all, iGaming Africa for hosting us, and also to Victoria for your moderation. It's been pleasant. Francisco, it's a pleasure meeting you. And I think what everyone needs to know, anyone who's in the ecosystem, is that crypto is here to stay, and it's getting into different avenues like betting. So my future prospects is that most, if not all, gaming platforms will adopt crypto. It's inevitable. Not if, but when it happens, you will remember this conversation that you're having here today. And of course, finally, if you could allow me to just shamelessly plug Bitcoin, like I mentioned earlier, platform where we enable players to place bets using crypto. You can check us out. Thank you.
Yeah. So from that, if you're watching this, if there's anything you need to keep in mind is crypto adoption in iGaming is inevitable. It's not a matter of if, but when. So, thank you so much again. And we'll see you definitely in the next webinar session. Till then.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.